All right, people. So while you are viewing the Terry Doty thing and the Independence Day thing and who the American people, the true American people, actually are, that's yourselves if you're on the good-hearted side of things here. This one is going to be called The Switch and Moses' Evil Shadow. Everybody's probably going to ask me, like, what the hell is Moses' Evil Shadow? Well, usually it means it's stuff that they told you before. And again, these are my own experiences, my own findings, and they follow no narrative. As hard as they try to embed one, into me every day by their constant 24/7 surveillance blocking team, that's blocking of my estate and my inheritance and my banking privilege and all of that stuff. Privileges and all of that stuff, which all of you have as well. It's the same culprits, which are no less than what I have called in this presentation the Franks, the ones that you cannot see, or the not seens, or not see, and then it goes back from there, but you really don't need to go back further from that, but I know who it is. Last time we started with the switch, or knowing what switch really means. If you watch the last one, you'll know what that is kind of all about there. But what I didn't make an emphasis on was, what I failed to make, not failed, I'll say, but just didn't mention because it was coming in this one. On the last one, what I didn't make mention of so strongly in the last presentation, that if you've seen that yet or not, it's recommendable, is the fact that this, and I didn't come up with the method, but I definitely haven't heard it come from anybody else, so I'm going to claim that, which is the way to call it out, is what these idiots do about making the fake, or make the fake. I call it make the fake, take the real. And you can put that in a couple of different ways, example-wise, but they have a bad habit. This is where switch comes in so very importantly. They like to make a counterfeit. They'll arrest you for it, but they like to make a counterfeit, tell you it's the real thing, and then wait a little bit, and then take the real thing. And that's what they do. And that's how they have pretty much, to the American people, the true American people, have tricked their ancestors, our own ancestors, and just about everybody in between, into thinking that they actually run our government. Everybody has their own governments individually, people. They can't do that. The only thing they can do is, when they're called out, well, you know what they're going to be doing on a treasonous level. And they are called out already. They're just waiting to be announced. That's just my opinion, but take it as you may. And I do say may in quotes, and with a very strong emphasis, and I'll explain that to you later. So what they do with that is they make a fake. This is the real gold watch. Well, all the time they have everybody awing over the gold watch, and they know the gold watch is actually, maybe in the next room, and they go take it. Watch Ocean's 8, because that is a very good example of it, and I honestly and wholeheartedly believe, almost wholeheartedly, that good people did that. It was done in a different way, but it shows all the same examples, just like the 4, chapters of John Wick series. It's made for that purpose, to show later, or now, everybody exactly how they do their faking. That's the only thing you can describe it as. Faking, usurping, or usurpers, usurping, and all that stuff. Okay, so make the fake and take the real. So that's what I didn't kind of emphasize the last time, but know damn well you need to make damn sure that you know what that is. Make the fake and take the real. Okay? What I also have on this same image here is might I suggest, a few games. Because they always have to follow something. They are nothing original. They have nothing. They are not elites. They are not anything. They have nothing. They are nothing. And they have no talent. That's why they're ticked. And they feel they have to steal everything from everybody else, which are yourselves and I, which are the true sovereign American people. So might I suggest, a few games, because I like to play games, and they think as long as they do a game, games aren't against the law. Yes, they are, when they're fraudulent and harm people. So might I suggest a few games like Go, which is Chinese, although they call a lot of stuff out in Japanese, and that's there's a reason for that, because they even steal from them too. Case in point, what are the cherry blossoms that bloom all over Washington, D.C. from time to time? That equals every year, or once a year, in March and April. That would be the sakura. And that's another story for another time, but yeah, that's kind of where they get those, and stole from them as well. Othello, which is the same as Go, but it's called Reversi now. And oh, if you only knew how they did themselves a favor doing that one. Calling that game Reversi now, because that's what everything is. A polar opposite, following the satanic laws that they follow, a polar opposite of what usually is. And risk, the insurance involvement term, risk, because they're going to say you're the big risk to their criminal empire. Look at that. They have no empire because they have nothing. It's just a bunch of gangs that's somewhat organized. Stratego and Catan, that's German. Germany is famous for the games where they teaching little kids where they take over other people's property, encroach on it, then just sit on it, take it over, and see how long they can stay that way. Yep, that's exactly what they're doing today, people. Not just in America, but everywhere. Children's stories like Alice in Wonderland, Alice 2 Through the Looking Glass. That one specifically because it involves the all-popular mirror. The mirror in which when you look at it, you can go forward, but you're actually going backwards in the mirror. Don't see how that works exactly in every case, but that's what they have interpreted in their not-so-wise heads. That's the way they interpret it. Somebody's running very fast, you're running very slow all of a sudden. So you see how they've already screwed up the interpretation of that. That's how they look at it. That's how they look at it. You ever hear somebody mention Looking Glass Stairs? I believe I love Reba McEntire. She has a song called Fancy, and I love the song. I love her. However, they tell people to, I don't care what you do for your comedy routine, make sure you just include these words in it. Or a songwriter, I don't care what you write, just make sure you include these words in it. Well, some of those words, in Reba's case, are called the Looking Glass Stairs. Looking Glass Stairs are two sets of staircases that come down from each side of the stage or side of the whatever. And that's supposed to be a reflection. One's supposed to be a reflection. And that's what it refers to as Alice 2 Through the Looking Glass. And the sub-stories that are in there, you wouldn't believe. That's where you get Humpty Dumpty and Tweedledee and Tweedledum and all that stuff. You wouldn't believe it, people. They are children like you wouldn't believe. Frank's Kings, First King closed. Well, I believe they had a grandchild. His name was Child. You can believe it. Do you see where all this is going? Parallel meaning words. Parallel construction. Well, that's what That's how they cover themselves all over the American media, which they use in, I believe, Joseph Goebbels' terms. That's the propaganda professional from that Nazi party. Says as long as we have control of the media, we can use it like a howling howitzer. Look at that. And continuing on, that's how they do their deceptive word trickery. They use theater, acting, faking, lying, and all kinds of however they can use deception. All to gain from you, steal from you, and take over you. And maybe even a certain couple of other things, which this is the whole shocker of all this. The U.S. House of Representatives and Moses? You think? Well, if you don't think, just hang on just a sec, because forget my language, I'm about ready to shock the shit out of you. Alright, so before I explain to you what I've got going up here now is, there's a children's story called The Wizard of Oz. It's by L. Frank. Again, okay, I've already explained it to you. Bomb. What does that sound like? B-O-M-B or B-A-U-M? I'll leave it up to you. Keep it in mind for as far as like German language, because it is involved in Rebensbaum, the People Without a Nation, Lowen's-Baum, where the people like, I believe it was Clint Hill, the one that was on the back of the JFK limo, with Jackie, or Henry Kissinger, or something like that. I mean, this is just, what has appeared in print, in historical record. Apparently, public record. Apparently, that's what I saw, was that they were actually former, what is known, if you're thinking back to World War II, Nazi, or Nazi agents. That's right. They were part of, and they infiltrated when America went back over there to, occupy and make sure they behave so they don't keep trying crap on this country, which they ultimately did anyway. But that's what they were just over there for, to make sure they behave, and they infiltrated the American groups, just like Project, what was it, Paperclip? Or Project Rusty, one of the two. Rusty's the more important one. You ought to look into it, people. Anyway, well, that's what that means. The bomb, the bomb. One of those bombs. Anyway, Wizard of Oz, L. Frank Baum, I kind of have trouble, if you'll just forgive me for just a second, believing that that's not Teddy Roosevelt. In case you don't know, Rose belt. What belt could you make out of twigs of rose bushes? They got so many thorns. Oh, rose belt. So there's thorns, like a crown of thorns. If one of them got to be president or something, a TV president anyway. Look at that. Isn't that just amazing? A crown of thorns, rose belt. Anyway, don't get me started, because when I tell you that Hitler and Franklin Roosevelt had the same exact stay terms of office, you might want to switch to this very non-dependent narrative here. Anyway, so we got the Wizard of Oz for one, and there is symbolisms in there, but there's also something called the Master Key. This was also written by the same author, and what I found to be highly more likely to do with what's going on today than any other story. And people, just so you know, I don't want to spoil it for you. I'm not even going to give you a spoiler alert, because it's not even worth it. Yeah, that Master Key appears to be your smartphone, people. That's what it is. Okay. Can you imagine they were warning everybody? Well, they're minions anyway, descendants and minions and associates. So what I've got up here is, like so many politicians and entertainers today, such said leaders are usually extorted, blackmailed, or just paid in cash to agree. Cash, by the way, their fake fallacy currency, which all they wait for is people to copy their fake fallacy currency and That's when they try to arrest them. To agree with their agenda. Their favorite, they especially like it when it's the same leader. Getting it from a young age, especially they can last so they don't have to worry about, regrooming somebody and taking a chance for that mask falling off. What does that sound like if you're thinking, computer inventors and garages and all that stuff? All these young CEOs. Same pattern, people, I'm just saying. And look what they end up doing. Okay, so continuing on. So all that seems wrong is a change of mind, but usually a direct 180. This was the very same activity for Moses. Okay, and this is just what I ran across. I might be missing. You'll have to. I caught so many typos in here, but I tried to correct them all. My deepest apologies, if there are any. But this was the very same activity from Moses. A cult, which is they, okay, and the Franks, not seems, whatever. That's who I'm referring to when I say they. They will ask you, who's they? Because they want to know if you've identified them yet or not. A cult, when you're standing right in front of them, a cult that doesn't want him to have too much influence and grew weary of him as they hid in among the people. Well, people, I'm going to mention this once and I'll probably have to do something separate on him, but if you've ever heard the song Man in the Mirror by there's no words for him because he's so intelligently educated and self-educated, I should say, and wonderful as far as like what he writes and his composition abilities and his writing abilities and musical abilities, dancing abilities, singing abilities. It goes on and on. That would be one Mr. Michael Jackson. Yes. He knew all about this. I can only say I'm pretty sure because it's very obvious in all of his music. But the man in the mirror, he's not talking about himself, his own reflection. He's talking about what's right in the middle of that, this side of the mirror and that side of the mirror. There's only one side. But those are usually called intelligence agencies, people. And when they're right smack dab in the middle, well, their location would be located central. You get it? That's what he was saying. And so continuing on here, when they're weary of somebody who has a lot of influence, that's the other big I word that you need to stay aware of, because that's what they use when they have nothing else, and they actually do have nothing else. Waiting to strike suddenly so they can have said people for themselves. Yes, too much influence that can affect the people, meaning, well, yeah, that's what we're talking about here, Moses himself. The action of a secret cult group controlling a single person to be able to control many or lots. Via what? Consolidation. That's why consolidation is your country's most effective defense weapon. Every person governs themselves, people. Not everybody answers to one, and these 4 years we like tapioca instead of yogurt, so everybody's got to like tapioca. No, that's not the way it works. So tell me, would you agree that they do this with many of today's personal or personalistes, meaning A-list or B-list or whatever, killing them or their character even, as I have. I'm sorry, sometimes I have a little trouble concentrating because of the live blocking team that's watching me remotely right now, usually consisting of about 5 to 7 people. I don't mind saying so. Her name is Maylene Taylor Sutera, and she has an enforcer, goes by the name of, I call him Larry Little Bitch, but he tried to tell me his last name was Connor, but if you know about Con, you know how that works. All right. Yeah, they do the most disgusting, vile things, like watch you go to the bathroom, but they never take their eyes off of you because they have this eyeball hijacking ability and this able to put what they say into your sounds into your head ability. It's called V2 Skull and Me Service, Many Embedded Stereo Vision Systems. Look it up. You'll see that they're there, and that releases me, okay? But yes, they are committing treason, crimes against humanity, and everything. Sometimes that's why I have a little trouble concentrating. And trust me, I think they're very widely known right now, and they are being worked on right now, I'll put it that way, from many directions. So the evil one, you would need an agreeable controllee, and if he does not agree with you, close look-alike, sound-alike, and or be willing to actually wear a mask. As for audio, lots of options exist. Again, the person would be only an employee of the evil dead ones, and or a bad actor and or bad actress. Remember, the technique is always look here, but not here. Well, that would be the Wizard of Oz versus, I don't recall them ever showing the Master Key. Just about as old, but don't recall seeing that ever on the Kitty Lake movie that, begins at 7. Don't recall seeing that, if you know what I mean. But what I have under here is, under the Wizard of Oz, is an early classic and very public clandestine communication to an infiltrating civil army's kids. That is correct. But not here. So I have under the Master Key. Sorry, this story has a little too much to do with what is going on today, so it's unmentioned, meaning, what it's about and everything, but I just have down here, hint, it's your smartphone. All right. So, people, the next one I have up here is called, you're going to see me use the word biblical here for the next 2 or 3 here, maybe 4, I don't know. So I believe one can say it's going to be biblical, and that is correct because of, the Moses thing there. And you'll see why. You need to know they use word parallel, they call it parallel construction. It's all architected. You'll see who the architect really is in Washington. Architect of the Capitol, they spell it with an O, but turns out it's really an A at the end. But architected, all this word trickery, architected, all these buildings, they call it parallel construction. It's just words, people. They're weaponized word trickery. Swap, replace, and switch. That's just some of them. Wait till you get a load of what special really means. That's a certain central agencies, for, I guess I can only imagine for intelligence purposes, uses special from any passwords, in the statutes to, let them do certain kinds of theft, like, your funds and your inheritance and your everything. Okay, that's what special really means. If you've seen The Recruit, watch Al Capone circle those 3 letters in that particular motion, picture, presentation, and I think you'll see what I mean. So I also have, and so just for fun, and so you know how these psychopathic lowlights operate. Look at the rest of this page. So basically what I have up there is, this mysterious man, whoever, or mysterious creature, whoever it is. You can do it our way. They use the word our, people. They even call their minions and descendants and associates American people. They're not. They're American imposters. Okay, but they do use the word our, as in our democracy. First of all, people, this country is not a democracy. It's a public, and at the very most, a republic. That's all. It's not a democracy if you look it up. But they will say, in our democracy. Why? Because they're talking to their minions, not to you. The switch is number 2 I have up here. Well, you see, we'll get into this, but, what if Moses was really switched? Supposedly, he's the only individual that never made it into heaven. The only one? I wonder why. Well, in the story, I'm going to say story, in the story, could he have been switched? Was there time? Was there an alternate place? I'll get into this on the next one, I think, or the next two. Was there a place where a change could have taken place and out popped another one with some neatly cut stone tablets that, was there a chance to put them there beforehand? Was there a chance to, I don't know about this burning bush stuff, but I mean, every bush that I've seen that's burned man, that thing gets charred. I'm just saying, that's what people tell you, whatever. And the third option is, or we will mail you our third option. If you don't do what we say, in other words. And I just want you to notice very carefully what color that envelope, the mail, what color that mail is. And I have also down here at the bottom, biblical point. I am told for whatever reason, and after all of the good things he did for lots of people, I just said that Moses never made it into heaven. Does that not sound a little odd to you, to most? And what I meant by that was all this good stuff, and he was the leader and everything, and he didn't make it? Well, they do have a habit of when they replace, they either do one or two things. They just force them to go along. They, forcibly replace. And, just like I was mentioning, this crew leader, Maylene Taylor Sutera, a little while ago, that watches me 24/7. Go to the bathroom and everything, change clothes, and all of this as they are at this very moment as I make this 24/7 through such said technologies that I mentioned. It doesn't seem a little odd to you that they can do that? That somebody doesn't make it into heaven? There's many good things they supposedly did. So that's kind of what I meant by, does that not sound a little odd? And doing so, and the reason why I included these particular photos, or whatever the images here, I should say images, worship of images, as I've already told you, it's the actual worship of Satan, which I think is really just no more than a cartoon character, I believe. Because sure as hell wasn't in the definition. Anyway, but if you'll notice, and you're going to see this a lot, people, like The Voice, a certain kind of contest show, I'm not quite sure, with TV antenna, somebody shoots a peace sign, that's what I was getting at, but they also, they might have a 7 that's tipped on its side and forms kind of an uneven V, but The Voice has both of those. Look at that. Well, being I've already told you who, at least my findings have shown again and again and again and again and again of who this really is. And most people know him from World War II in a certain kind of not kind of way. Well, there was, I've already seen that particular, I saw it after I had kind of figured it, but I saw that list where there was the third, they call them Reichs, Reich, the Reich. Well, that was supposedly that, and then the fourth was about survival, and the fifth, well, guess what you're looking at live right now. One of my favorites, Brent Musburger, used to say, "You are looking live at Sold Out Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia." Well, and I don't live in Philadelphia. That's just one of the things he used to say. Well, I hate to break it to you people, but at least up until recently, that's what you've been looking at live. According to my findings and what I have found and my own experiences, because ask yourself this, as I've told you about this particular blocking crew who watches me every night 24/7. Why would they be? I haven't done anything. Not to, and I like to do nice things for people as an opposite. But yeah, that would kind of put the rubber stamp on it, the confirmation, affirmation on it, with exclamation points. It sounds so fine, don't you agree? So anyway, so continuing on, people, I basically I jumped so far ahead of myself. I've kind of covered most of this, but it's now that you know what the word is, it's going to be biblical, as I have it underneath there. Now that you know the word switch, or know the word switch and what it's about, you must associate one more word with it, usurper, and know, which means a faker, an imposter. And know another meaning for this too, which is, again, okay, so you're welcome, people. I get so ahead of myself, I even do it right in front of myself. Look at that. Imposter is what that means, or faker. All right, the false one. All right, so got it? That's what I put. Given the time, chance, setting, opportunity, or place, and private place of cloaking, changing, and possibly, if needed, a little help. Co-operation. Yeah, kind of like COVID. Yeah, you got that. There you go. Force or blackmail. Could someone be switched with an usurper, imposter? And, now just ask yourself this realistically. Could someone, and don't forget people, I have this blocking team that is trying their best to narrate. That's her job. Maylene Taylor Sutera. That's her job, is to narrate everything I do and say. This has been like one continuous now, not spotty, one continuous 7-year-long harassment and stalking and trespass of one's life. Okay, just so you know that, but this is what they do. Even when I do stuff like this, that's what she's doing. She's narrating into her little mic, communicating it back to, supposedly, as she indicated, CIA HQ. Okay, so, or her handlers, which then, through a liaison, look how that's militarily tied, goes back to CIA HQ. Okay, that's her indications. So if it's not, then that means, guess what? She's an imposter, which they need to take care of right away. But I don't think so, because she knows too many things that she's been so forthcoming and willing to just say out loud, as she apparently steals or thefts my own estate finances and becomes thoroughly interested in when my finances come up. And you're going to see these similarities between this particular, I have no idea. I don't know her. I don't know who she was when she just appeared one day with her crew. And that's what she started to do, was to try to do some elimination so she could have the look at that, the corporate fortune. Doesn't that sound like something familiar that's going on nowadays? I believe this is March, middle of March 2026? Yep, I think so. Anyway, so as I was just continuing on here, could someone be switched with an usurper, imposter? Exactly what we're talking about. And have it happen so it would be unnoticed, not seen. Gee, I might have meant to pronounce it not seen. I'm not sure, but yeah, maybe. And have said usurper, imposter sail on along. Like, stolen identity, everything as yourself, but, nothing happening. Nothing, nobody really noticing. Well, guess what's happening now? Everybody's noticing. So I also have down here, well, we are almost there. And speaking of the estate people, you don't have to die to have control of your estate. It's just your business side. That's all it is. But they try to steal it and keep it hush-hush because they're using it. They're trying to live your life that you inherited, which is a rather fine life, but they have been stealing it for the past look how many decades now. All right? So this shit stops. All right? What I have on the right side here, and it's a matter of time, this don't come on a matter of time, you see images up there. The reason why I stuck that one there on the right, it's a final call boarding because, well, through the looking glass there, they tend to interpret airplanes and aviation and everything with the afterlife or the flying already or ascended or whatever. Well, you do anyway through life. Okay, but this is their interpretation of it. And, oh yeah, it's called, you have to die. It's not you have to die. It's actually your social security card, people. That's a bank account, and it's an inanimate object. That's a death certificate, believe it or not. And it entitles you to live your best life, well, behind that shield. That's not... What you think it means is not what it means at all today, people. And trust me, I've got certain idiots watching right now that prove it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be. Look at that. So on this one, people, I have the biblical thing again. I have substitutions, part 2. So continuing on, let's say, a private place of cloaking, changing out of sight, not seen by others, audiences, masses, etc., is the top of Mount Sinai, if we're thinking Moses here, okay? That's why you see the dressing room doors there. Fake Moses, fake Joshua, non-reality, Mount Sinai, backstage area this way. So all you got to do is look at that door and you kind of get what I'm saying here. So actually up and around back of Mount Sinai, out of sight of the people, right? Out of sight of the people. Well, yeah, again, there's the crew speaking up again. So, you know what? They know what they can do with themselves. Exactly. Where tablet action, writing on walls and campfires can be on display because this is agitating them, people, just so you know. Speaking of that particular 24/7 watching, continuous stalking, harassment, and trespassing crew that is sent by the intelligence community through IRS, it seems, because I started getting all these IRS harassment calls and I didn't have any. I looked to them for help in a claim, not. And that was about it. And I started getting, never had gotten them before in my life. And the very next day, there they came. So that's what it appears. I'm just saying what it appears like. Let me see here. All right, writing on walls, campfires can be on display for any con man. Remember, one of that crew already identified themselves as a con man, saying the last name was Conner. Get it? Trying to tell the truth, but tell a lie, right? And con women ready to assist with kidnapping, killing Moses, and or getting the Moses imposter ready to descend Mount Sinai with the tablets and knowing how to play Moses. 40 days and 40 nights are here to make sure that age is taken on over the period of over a month. Well, if somebody doesn't shave and they're, I mean no disrespect by this, people, because I have had very good friends and girlfriends and everything, that are either part Jewish or might have, I don't know, I didn't ask them. But I know part of them were. But when I, so So let's say if you are, uh, the running joke has been, how long does it? In other words, they can grow like facial hair faster than, I guess, like people like me, because I always joke about it, but man, I could take the better part of 2 years and I might not have all that much to show for it. But anyway, but they'll tell you usually about a month. So, yeah. So 40 days and 40 nights sounds special. Don't forget that word. But, yeah, I'm sure, of course, he's going to look different. To make sure, so it doesn't matter if he looks a little different. So to make sure that age is taken on over the period of over a month, that a natural age, in addition to the clothes of Moses, are worn properly and the likeness is close in appearance. In some environments, this is a staging, what they call a staging area. If you've even watched the TV show Friends, the sitcom, the comedy, Friends, there's even one called, I believe, but they did have one I think it's even called the one with the staging area, which was Monica's apartment. All right. What was the first thing Joshua told Moses in the story now after 40 days? And it would be, Moses, you have aged so much. You look much older. As in possibly, why do you seem so different? All right, so people, I already covered most of this. I kind of actually, this image and the last one should have been flipped, so I kind of have a couple of them out of order. It really doesn't matter because I already kind of mentioned everything anyway, but when you sub, and by the way, in between these, when I'm changing images, I'm kind of actually changing images on my side too. Yeah, your friendly neighborhood, all 24/7, 365 day a year watching crew, watching me for 7 years, direct from CIA themselves, which refuses to do anything about contacting, because they're apparently, well, you do the math, why they wouldn't want to contact somebody back that they're watching. Okay, so here you go. So they just, as she tries to do nightly, this female crew leader that they make a lot of them females as crew leaders. I wonder why, so they can slip into that faked wifey position after they eliminate you. Does that ring a bell? What's going on today again? Oh, look at that. Anyway, yeah, they keep trying until then. Keep trying to go after your battery supply, your power supply on your devices, so that you have no power to do anything. And that's not just that, it's also seems to be your body as well. So just letting you know that one. So here we go. Sub is what they do. They graft the underside of your main Social Security bank account and suck it dry. That's what they're doing. That is actually your lifelong privilege, people, to be able to issue what you want. That's how that is set up. It's Presidential Proclamation 9397 from guess who, which would be FDR. Just kind of makes you wonder what, what intention was in mind and all that stuff. But nevertheless, as the true American people, we get to say that, yes, that is what that is for. Okay, so here we go. Finally, so sub, that's called grafting, by the way. Grafting. Tapping into without your authorization or knowledge and sucking your supply. That's what it is. But let's substitute some things. So time, chance is 40 days and 40 nights, that I already mentioned. Setting, opportunity is the Egyptian people allegedly in need. It's the situation, which is allegedly in need of assisted exodus from Egypt. The story and your setting here is Mount Sinai. That's the setting, the place. The opportunity here is the need of assistance, usually an event or chain of planned in advance caused, and their big thing is cause and effect, so they can cause and affect things in their favor intentionally, requiring a savior, also themselves, as they like to play roles, believe it or not, roles, of which conveniently the evil savior and the flash mob show up and show out. In advance, surely rehearsal and tablet making take time and effort and some kind of coordination as well. Okay, people. So on this one, I've got up here. So it's probably the last part of the biblical thing here, not of Moses, but of the biblical. So I've got. I know what you are thinking. I don't know if any of you used to watch Magnum PI. That got said like I don't like every episode in it, but I know what you're thinking. Anyway, about now you are this is based on everything I just said and everything that was just shown to you. About now you are experimenting. That's a big word as to what they've been doing to pretty much all of the true American people for the past however many decades and or over centuries it's been. And or testing. They use that word like pen testing in computer technology. Yeah, they're just testing to see how well they can break in is basically what so about now you are experimenting and or testing your urge regarding the previous page's information to counter another important word, as in counter deposit, which used to be deposit. Right? In other words, it's actually more truthful now, to be honest with, because it's actually a subtraction. Or express yourself, as in a trust, express trust yourself. Like, in other words, so saying that the Moses stuff would be like, okay, he could have been switched, he could have been this. This is in the story. Not to say that any of it was true, but I mean, I'm not saying I disbelieve it, but just using the story, okay? Somebody's probably, if you told them that, is going to tell you, right. And I suppose that the reason this Moses, somehow allegedly, didn't make it into heaven is because his actual full name is evil, evil, evil. Like you can put in parentheses there, correct? I guess if you want to. For God's sake, why don't you just throw a pair of horns on the man already? You can put in parentheses. Well, if anybody ever tells you that, or if you're telling me that right now, this is one of those moments where you either want to know or you don't. And you know what that means before we get to the next screen. So then I would say I just have one more thing left to show you. Now, I guess before those of you who see this and are probably a little less than amused, and some maybe even a little frightened, maybe, let's hope not. First of all, not that it means a whole hell of a lot, but I'm right here. I'm the producer. I'm the executive producer, actually. I'm the one who put this together. And the next part of this is you have one more screen coming, which is going to explain why this is the way it is. And hopefully by now you see what I'm talking about as far as a possible switch, because they tend to do that. And you know what I mean already by they. A whole hell of a lot. Because they never can tell the truth. But you have one more screen coming here that may even shock you more than this one. So I'm going to double up on this layer. Saying that if you don't want to know that far, just you This is now your time to know. Okay? Alright, so people, this is the last screen on this one. Maybe besides one more that reminds the true sovereign American people who they really are. And how much power they actually have over these American imposters. Alright? But as you can see up here, regarding that image, I will say for linguistic purposes, meaning spoken not written, in parentheses and out parentheses, it hangs over the gallery doors inside of what we know as the U.S. Congress House of Representatives. If you can believe that. Alright. It is called is part of the 23 Bas-Relief portraits of law givers. Meaning they make them up and give them to ourselves, the true American people, supposedly. I don't think so. Alright, so, and just in case you wondered, where have you heard Baz? Baz, for some reason, they like to take the most popular entertainers that have the most influence and attach themselves somehow to them, like a Michael Jackson or a Elvis or something like that. Well, to my knowledge, I think there's a guy named Baz that is supposedly in charge of all this recent Elvis movie and Elvis live, whatever. I mean, yes, of course, they're gonna be somewhat okay because it's his story and it's Elvis's story and it's Elvis's footage. This latest one. That's not taking anything away from Elvis Presley himself. And if you have any doubts on my views on Elvis, I think those who know me, let's just say, I know of Elvis' situation very well. And you could even say, if we're counting geographic borders, maybe even within the same, I don't know, a couple 100 miles or so of his house. So, knowledge-wise, to same thing, I wouldn't even worry about it because I know him very well. Anyway, yeah, even so much so that, good friends who, their relatives or moms or dads or whatever used to work for him, no problem. However, that's not what we're talking about. But yes, that is how they take these terms and try to attach them to mass influential people, entertainers, popular ones. And it says Bas-Relief portraits. You need to look up the word Bas-Relief or Bas, and you'll see exactly what it means. Okay? Just try to do your homework on that. Portraits of law givers. Even portray. Portray, right? Not law makers, law givers. Installed 1949 to 1950, 2 years after CIA and Intel community did a self-install of their agencies, supposed agencies, people, every individual, proud American man, woman, or child has agency. It's the ability to say, yes, I'll do that. No, I won't do that. It's called free choice. But they have their agency because they present themselves originally. That's their agency, okay? As well as themselves they installed. Okay, as I'm talking about going back to the CIA and Intel community now. Strange story. about this time period, 1945. This is why I tell you that President Donald J. Trump, in my opinion, this is my opinion, and he's done, I mean, like I said, I research them backwards. I start looking for the bad stuff they do. I have not come up with one single thing yet. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying that I'm usually the first one to find something in like 3 minutes. But at least between the people I know, but I have not come up with one single thing. And again, besides you twerp or something like that, that's besides name calling stuff, not a single thing. Okay, which is nothing. But 1945 to 1947, apparently this country didn't have any intelligence agency. It used to be the OSS, but what was it in America? I don't think it doesn't list it. Apparently it was all set up and being set up and all that stuff to begin in 1947, and the things that happened since that year are unbelievable. You would not believe it. So, it kind of concentrates as a nexus this subject, this place, this plaque, this everything. Well, just take a big guess as to who's responsible for all of these problems in this country, at least as of then. It goes farther, way back farther than that, but the people, or the creatures, as I usually say, it's usually, I never found anything different. It all traced back to the same. And you can go as far back as the Civil War, you can go Federal Reserve, whatever, that's private stuff, but the Civil War, all that happened in 1861. Statutes at large in 1862. Statutes at large, you need to look at those very carefully. The Capitol got stormed, apparently, between those two congressional sessions. And statutes at large, 1862. Man, they just went and said, okay, yeah, well, I guess we win. Nobody knew they were doing anything. And they started divvying up railroads and stuff like you wouldn't believe. All right, it's there. You'll see it. And you can go back as far as the beginning of this country. 1812 was a big one, but the beginning of this country, and I will just say this, I have to do it quickly here. People, nothing with con is good, because it's a con, okay? So here's what I found. This is my findings, my experiences, what I found. And in large part to this blocking team, because this blocking team that watches me 24/7, can't seem to stop on a 7-year continuous stalk, harass, and trespass. And yes, the police thing, the court thing, all that thing, federal thing has already been done. So you can just imagine, what intentions are and what would be capable. This is what I'm saying here. So I just observed. That's all. As I am observing now. However, but yeah, since the beginning of this country, what I found was this. Today's corporate world, which seems to have stolen the American estates, at least perceptionally, and they try to keep it in perfect abandoned condition or untouched condition so that they can say after they eliminate you or you die, oh, they abandon it, so it's ours. Now, what is it? Well, that's the harvest. That's all the stock market stuff going on because you are live stock, live cattle. At least as they made on their make the fake take the real thing. The parallel that they made, falsely manufactured, putting a number on you and, supposedly making a investment. That's more of a war criminal investment, but anyway, yes, now, trust king in this country is law. Trust law is king. So what that means is that just because somebody made money off you, that doesn't let them off the hook for owing you for all of that time. And just, you can research this, but you can cut to the chase and go all the way back to 1666 with that. It's called your Sesticate Trusts and accounts. That's put it most simply. That's your E-states, your enterprise states, your business states, or your E-states, your business estates. That's just your business side, people. It's not separated from you. They just use it. All right? And if anybody should know, I do. Because I watch it every day. So you have a private side. Don't ever forget to ask anybody what that red number on the back of your Social Security card stands for. Might very well just be a private side to something. But, a big account. I can only imagine a big account of some sort that is supposed to give you lifelong social protection privileges and spending privileges so you can have a social life, not to have somebody come along, steal that at the cradle. Ask somebody what happens to your your certificate of live birth in the next, 10 days to 3 weeks following an actual birth of a little precious American baby in this country. Goes on a little journey, and then it seems like because they have split fever, it gets split, and they let you have the name. They try to steal it later so their little minions can use it, but they also steal your wallet, which was that life that you inherited, which you are still due. All right, so just remember that. But continuing on with this, yes, going back to this 23 plaques or portraits of lawgivers, right after 47, 45, 47 setting up, 47 on, they got busy just like the same behavioral patterns that they did in 1862 with those statutes at large. At large means they're just outside the barrier so you can't see them. How's that? Like not seen, right? These plaques are more of a key power stone to them, and you know how they use power stones in these Marvel movies and whatever, then you think. Remove these plaques ASAP, and they are sucked back into their magic mirror. Remember Alice 2 through the looking glass forever. Because this is the psychopathic, central point of what all this supposed thinking is based on, or at least what they show all of them. I don't really give a crap on that, but it does form a nexus between every single one of them. Back up on the other side, it says Moses is the only historical figure. Historical, meaning they call themselves art historians. Okay, art historians. And yes, there is even an art historian, believe it or not, people, this is what President Trump was trying to show you, named Jan, probably Jan, but Jan 6, if you can believe that. Yes, art historian, Jan 6, a person, not the event, the person, although event's an important word with them as well, especially in the event. You'll just ask somebody, you'll get it. Or character, because they play roles. They always have to play a role. You got to play your role, and we have to act now. They must act. They must act now to live for now. So they must act now with our democracy. Our democracy. From there, and remember this, people, because this is very important, and it'll help you filter at least half the news cycle. It's called a POV, a point of view. If you're viewing from in the looking glass or in the screen point of view, well, then supposedly you can talk like that. But if you're outside the POV or the looking glass, well, things change, so they're very careful about how they do that. So, Moses, back to Moses, all right, is the only historic character to have a full face, and as labeled in these 23 Bas-Relief portraits of lawgivers. And all this was supposedly done by AOC. No, not the Cortez, whoever the girl, no. This is the architect of the Capitol. This is how they do it. The other 22 are just profiles. They're half faces. You know, because I guess, who knows, they could be two-faced. Look at that. Because they always wear a mask, right? So, all profiles are half faces only. Well, I'll get to that at the bottom because I'm not going to jump ahead of myself again here, hopefully. Perfectly true and a dead-on match to their behavior. These plaques are arranged in strategic Go/Othello configuration. Now, people, I'm going to get into that. This is the last part of this 3-volume deal I'm doing on this one here. But that is going to be called Shall We Play a Game? Because they most certainly have been, and it's been this very one. And back to the Nexus. Does this Nexus tie that game to here as well? Oh, more than you know. And I guess you would have to have someone who gets, I guess you could say, another language or two. But at least one. Remember the sakuras and the cherry blossoms I mentioned? You know, yearly or from time to time, as it's defined. In Washington, D.C., that has to do with a particular country. Yeah, it might be something like that. But anyway, the 22 half faces and one Moses, full face, whole face, whatever, that makes a big deal because, you know, you're whole, people. Remember, you are complete and you are whole. You are not a half life like they always try to parasite upon each and every one of you. So these relief plaques of supposed law givers, you know, make-uppers, but givers, were per the AOC, architect of the Capitol, selected by the University of Pennsylvania and the Columbia, now that's a big one, that's, you know, Historical Society, historical now, art historians, remember, Jan 6, right? Historical Society, be careful of that word everywhere you go. Society, again, also, of Washington, D.C. Consultants are the authoritative, that means, I guess, who they decide, oh my God, members of the library, I guess, yeah, of the library of which, I put which the library of the library which Congress. And if you see how these are arranged up there, people, and what's the one that they don't mention, meaning there's actually 24 spaces. Okay, there's 23 faces. 22 half faces, one full face or whole face. And you know who that is already. But in this next one here, you'll see what's in that 24th space, and it's what they do to you every day. It's a little ode to a Mr. Webster, as in the dictionary, and the way they use different definitions at the most opportune times for themselves, the most convenient times for themselves, to pull a different meaning to such a definition so that they can say that you're wrong. Or, yeah, that's not what it means. That's not what it means. It's not what it means. I don't think so. And approved by special, this is the, or a special committee of 5. Not that they're admitting 5 eyes or anything. It's just, 5, right? As in, pent, star, or pent, or something, you know what I mean. It's the inside. Pent is an inside of a star. Otherwise, it's 5 points, right? I wonder who has 5 points. Is what state might have 5 points. Never mind. Members of the House of Representatives certainly don't represent you or myself. And the AOC, architect of the Capitol, supposedly with an O. The way it works out, that I've seen nothing but evidence of, is with an A as the last vowel in Capitol. So, in this next one, you will see, well, maybe some of the game that they have been playing. And let me tell you, people, it is not fun or funny at all. But I also have something in there for each and every one of you. And I hope it helps you. I think it will. Anyway, just want each and every one of you to know I love you very much. Please take care and God bless you. Take care.